Hello again, everyone. Welcome to episode 10 of Film Club. Woo. We're all grown up, baby. I never thought I'd see the day. It's Brad here.
Number 10.
John Eric. What's up, dude?
Hello, hello. Happy number 10.
Happy 10 episodes of Film Club.
Here's to another 10
Ano-
more.
Another 10. Let's.
And then another 100 more.
Now we're getting ambitious. I love it. Thanks for anybody who's out there listening. Sure to subscribe and leave comments. Always love to see some engagement out there. And without further ado, if you can't tell by the artwork that you're seeing now, we're talking about The Thing, 1982, directed by John Carpenter. John, what do you think about this movie generally?
It is one of my favorites. I have a lot of favorites as a film guy, but I'm very hard pressed to if I make a top 50 movies of all time, I can't see this. This one would be a serious contender for top 10.
Wow.
Serious contender for top
Okay.
10. This is a movie I can watch over and over again, and I love the setting. I love everything about this movie. I love the practical effects. I love the acting.
It's all around
The
winner.
score.
Ennio
Yeah,
Morricone.
yeah, which is crazy because Carpenter usually does his own music, but
Yeah, I guess he does some parts. Like I think the segment in some of the music in this movie, Carpenter still did a little bit, and I think he goes uncredited.
okay,
But it is Ennio Morricone,
okay,
right? Like the
I
boom,
believe.
boom, you know,
Dum, dum,
almost like
dum,
heartbeat
dum.
pulse.
Yeah,
So simplistic, so good.
so good.
Before we dive into it, I'll just kind of go over the cast and crew here. Yeah, obviously John Carpenter, also director of another great horror film, Halloween, precedes this movie by a few years. 4. Writer Bill Lancaster. It's based on a short story, Who Goes There, by John W. Campbell. I've never read this, but
I own it. I haven't read it yet. It's very tiny.
really okay.
I could probably read it in like a day. It's not very big. It is a novella.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah, I would.
I've
I
been
would
meaning
definitely
to
check
read
that
it.
out one day because I'm a huge Thing fan, and like you said, it's one of my favorite movies as well. I often cite it as being in my top 25 or top 10, depending on.
It's tough, but it's so funny. There's a running gag at my work because my coworkers, I recommend a lot of movies, and I'll always be like, "Oh, top 10. It's one of my top. It's in my top. My top 10 is basically a top 100, but
Yeah, yeah.
but the thing is one of those movies where it is literally a serious contender for my top 10.
Yeah. I wouldn't change a thing, pun intended, about it. That just came to me on the fly there. I didn't have that written down. Okay, Who Goes There? That's John W. Campbell, short story it's based off of. Cinematography by Dean Cundy, also shot Jurassic Park. He's a cinematographer behind Halloween. Shout out to Dean Cundy. I followed him on Instagram a couple weeks ago when I was deep into my research, and I have a production account on Instagram, and he followed me back. I was like, Dean, are you okay?
No way. Cool.
I think he just does it as like a follow me, I'll follow you. You know, he's an older gentleman now. He's probably just chilling out. Lived his life as a cinematographer. Man, he does it. This movie's shot great as well. Not super flashy.
It's so
Man.
No, not at all. But it's still beautifully, yeah.
Before we get to much else, special effects, makeup. Rob Bottin. He also did RoboCop. This guy needs to get hyped the hell up. Rob Bottin. I call this movie like the Rob Bottin dream. When you have Stan Winston show up to do an effect to help you out, because there were so many practical effects in this movie, right? This is
and they're so good.
And
They're
there's
so good.
it's really a testament to how ahead of the curve and how good Rob Bottin was. I think he mentions it in like a behind the scenes thing that he like had to go to the hospital for exhaustion by the end of this movie because he was so like up against the gun every day to get these things that would look good enough on camera, right? There's no hiding a lot of the stuff in this, so it's like when Stan Winston says this is a Rob Bottin movie, motherfucker, you take that to the bank and cash it. It's Stan Winston saying this about Rob Bottin. He's like, it's a Rob Bottin film.
Oh man.
So yeah.
The chest cave in.
Oh jeez. The setup for that scene too is crazy.
Oh,
the only
man.
scene that Stan Winston
it was so.
shot. Oh, go ahead.
But like it was so funny because I remember the first time I watched it. I can't remember the first time I watched it, like when I watched it. I know I was young, but I do remember the chest cave in scene actually like jumping the fuck out of my seat.
It's so well done, right? It's so well
and
done.
It was so funny because I showed it to my buddy who had never seen it before last October, and I remember just like the lead up, like you were saying, the lead up to the chest cave in scene. I'm trying not to look over at him when he's watching it, but I'm like, oh man, here it comes, and yeah, he didn't jump, but he just it got him. Like he just went, oh shit, like
suddenly the movie just
so it's
takes
just funny
a left
watching
turn.
it with
Oh my god.
Oh yeah,
that scene,
it was
crazy.
cool watching it with someone who had never seen it before.
I'd love that. Oh my god, I love that story because that scene it's one of the best jump scares I think ever because it's you have all this information building up to this point in the movie, and we're not we don't get too sidetracked here, but man, the timing of it when it hits and then it just goes berserk.
Yeah.
After that, the cards are on the table. This movie is about to shift gears and never look back. So yeah, let's talk a little bit more. The special effects, obviously, that's Rob Bottin who did that effect. Music, Ennio Morricone. What else can you really say other than it's classic? The second you hear it, it's identifiable. It's cool that they used some of his score in Quentin's movie, Hateful Eight. They use some tracks that were never used for The Thing, but I guess Morricone scored them.
Way!
I think it's when it's like the poison scene when he starts. Kurt Russell starts spitting up blood. Kind of a little connection, a little thread, because The Thing obviously has a little bit to do with Hateful Eight as well, right? This setting, almost isolation.
Yeah, okay, interesting. That is very cool.
And obviously Tarantino, I think he's talked about The Thing in one of his many podcasts or interviews, right, over the years. So obviously a movie he loves. Remake, obviously The Thing. It's a remake of The Thing from Another World, which is a 1951 film. I watched that many years ago.
I think college. We watched it in college, did we not?
Back in our college days, I think that was the film. Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, making a huge impression on me. I think it was a Howard Hawks production. So it's very.
Yeah, that was the one. I think that was the one time I did watch it, and it's funny because as everyone obviously knows, it's what the kids are watching in Halloween.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than the opening credits, like the burning onto the screen, I don't remember thinking it's very dated.
Right? Yeah, it is very of its time.
Like
I maybe
what's his name?
Again, but
Arness, James Arness, the guy from Gunsmoke.
Oh,
but I just him playing an actual like the monster is just kind of like, oh yeah, this is kind of dated, where he almost looks like Peter Boyle in Young Frankenstein, like just it's like it's almost comical from what I remember. But like it was good, but it's one of those horror movies that's not kind of when the remake is so much better that it kind of it gets put into
it is fantastic, which is crazy to say too, because like financially speaking, this movie was not a hit.
No,
budget of 15
I didn't
million,
know that.
It only grossed about 20 million. Um, so it wasn't a smash hit. For those of you who haven't seen this film, it stars Kurt Russell, Keith David, the voice of the Arbiter from Halo, the video game series.
Put on the
So
glasses.
awesome. Wilford Brimley himself, Mr. Diabetes, Uncle Duvet from Hard Target with Van Damme. Wilford Brimley's great in this movie. And Kurt Russell's fucking
Yeah,
overly
he
large
is. Yeah,
hat.
sure.
That's pretty much a main character in the film too, right? His hat is so large in this film, and he didn't like the hat either. I guess they just kind of shot, like second unit with a double as Kurt Russell. So this hat was already like, it was kind of just you can't get it, you can't get out of it, Kurt. So yeah, the ultimate in alien terror, The Thing. What can you tell me about when you saw this movie the first time, or like your first impressions of it?
Like I honestly, it's been so. I've seen the movie so many times, and that just shows that it is one of my favorites. That I know it was probably with my brother. I don't think it. I wasn't too young. It had to have been like when I was in my teens, but I just remember being blown away by it. Like I love open-ended endings when they're done right. I really don't like them when they're just like, oh, come on.
Yeah, leaves you wanting
But
more type
the
of thing.
ending blew me away. I just thought, oh, that was a perfect movie. That was a perfect ending and everything.
It's a perfect
And we're
ending to
just
that
gonna like
story, eh?
Kurt Russell is cool in everything, but he is so cool in this movie
Yeah,
as
he's
McCready.
he's the
Like,
the outside. He's the sensible loner, right? Playing chess, just
yeah.
drinking JB,
Of course, it's freaking JB on.
cheating bitch. Like
Yeah.
it sets stuff up. Apparently, he had a sex doll originally too that they edited out. He had a blow up
No
doll.
way.
I'm
That's
glad they took that out of it.
hilarious.
To be honest,
That's kind of yeah. That's a little
it's a little bit much. I think a lot of it got
yeah.
edited
That's
out
a little bit
too.
much.
But
But yeah, it's funny because I know I and because I've seen it so many times that I have other memories of this movie. I can't remember the first time I watched it. I do know about obviously the chest, what I said earlier about the chest bursting scene. That scared the fuck out of me. But I've seen this movie. This probably holds records for me for like movie watching. I've seen this movie twice in theaters. I saw it once at the Highland years ago with they did a double feature with this and Halloween.
ooh, that's a good one.
And oh, it was. And then I went just a few years ago. Silver City showed it, so I went again.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, and
You see
then
it.
I've
You
seen it
see it.
count. I showed this to my dad, who does not like horror movies. He hates horror movies, but he loves Kurt Russell because of Tombstone and other Kurt Russell dad movies, Executive Decision.
Of course.
But just a few years ago, I showed it to my dad, who does not like horror movies, and he didn't like it. He didn't like he doesn't like open ended endings, so the ending pissed him off.
That's,
Um,
you know what? It's fair. It's a fair, because it's a downbeat kind of a bleak
it
ending.
is very my dad and is very bleak. And my dad is very much like the Tombstone, the Executive Decision. He loves like heroes and villains. He loves hero always on top. He like
Mm-hmm.
so it was funny. He did like Russell in it, but it was just like yeah, this I kind of knew that he was not gonna like it.
Which is fair, yeah.
Because of the ending. I knew the ending was going to piss him off, and it did. And it did.
Of the time as well, right? Like a lot of movies didn't have bleak endings like
No,
this. It's a
no.
kind of like a, for a horror film, maybe some people wanted a happy ending, right? But I think John
Yes.
Carpenter said
Yeah.
it best when he was talking about it in one of the commentaries or whatever. That you can't really have a happy ending to a movie, that it wouldn't fit the story of them beating it, right? Because it's so much about paranoia and the subtext of the film, you
Yes.
know? I don't feel like the ending would be like, hey, Childs, hey, McCready, just 5 shots him? How's that gonna, you know? Because the ending,
Yeah. Yeah,
people still talk
exactly.
about the
Like,
ending to this day. That's kind of what the whole second half of the movie cranks it up, is about paranoia, because, you know, all the guys are talking to each other and they're saying, I don't know whose thing we should eat out of our own food containers, you know? pretty much isolating from each other, which by the end of the movie, it's the reason why people still talk about it to this day. Who's the thing?
And Carpenter has an answer, and he says it's like there's a hint in the at the ending with the breath, obviously. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's quite obvious that it's Child's.
Yeah, everybody says that, right? And they do the blood test earlier on, and then he was fine then, but maybe somebody said something about him changing his jacket at one point, somewhere halfway through the film.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, Carpenter might just be playing 4D chess while we're down here with playing checkers, you know, because the more he talks about this, it just makes the movie even more of like a cult classic. And this is, you know, we talked about it earlier before we jumped into it. It didn't do great at the box office, but most people nowadays, I think, would agree that this is a classic all-time horror science fiction film.
Mm-hmm.
Siskel and Ebert,
He did it.
yeah, they said it's a
I
very
think that
well-made film, but Ebert said there's non-three-dimensional characters, which is bullshit.
yeah, which I bullshit. I don't usually disagree that heavily with Ebert. Like a lot of the times, I agree with him, and even like when I think he's the greatest film critic of all time, but he really missed the mark on this one.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe a couple of the characters look too much. I mean, it's all dudes. A lot of them have beards.
Yeah,
You know, maybe
but
I don't
come
know. They all
on,
have clear, defined traits, and what makes
they
them tick.
do.
You get that throughout the film, right? It's kind of an
Mm-hmm.
ongoing thing. And then Siskel talks about the
Ongoing
McCarthyism.
thing.
It's funny, but yeah, Siskel talks about the McCarthyism of the film and like outing others, right? Which kind of goes into the whole
Mm-hmm.
paranoia, feeds into what makes this movie what it is, right? Because there's a
Right.
scene when they burn one of the bodies because they realize this alien is absorbing people. Um, the co-producer Stuart Cohen, he has an audio track as well, and he talks about John Carpenter reiterating the message of this theme of this movie about paranoia. So when they're all outside, and you know, Kurt Russell, McCready is saying to them, "It could be," I think it's him. He says, "It could be any of us." That's essentially
Yeah.
John Carpenter talking vicariously through the character McCready because he wants you to make sure that you're along for this ride in the way it's supposed to be intended. And it is kind of almost like playing a game of Clue, right? You're like, okay, if he was there doing this, which room did the dog go into at the beginning, right? Because of course
Yes.
the dog. But before we, you know, just start going into personal anecdotes and all this stuff as well, got to talk about, you know, we already talked about how much we love this movie and everything like that. I think I've owned this movie on almost every format. I didn't have the Laserdisc, but you and I were talking before we started recording today, right? And just
Mm-hmm.
you said you have the Steelbook as well, which I think is McCready with a flamethrower and the Thing. If you
Which
have the
is
same one I do,
pretty cool. I do. Yeah, I own that one.
it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And it's funny because I owned the DVD, and I ended up giving it away. So it was the full screen version that I didn't realize that I had ordered that or whatever from Amazon. So
Full screen.
I gave it away.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I remember when that was a thing when you can DVDs were like full screen or widescreen.
It's like widescreen all the way.
And a lot of the times when they do those changes too with full screen, you're not seeing the movie as the filmmaker intended it.
Exactly.
Sure,
So
it fills
yeah,
up your whole
I
screen,
never.
but
So you owned it on VHS, eh?
I originally watched this movie on VHS probably when I was around
See,
10
I
or
don't
12.
think. Oh, see, so I didn't see it that young. I think I was probably in my teens when I saw it for the first time, but
Yeah, I
maybe even older.
properly
I don't know,
shit
maybe in my
myself.
early 20s. I might not have seen it until my early 20s, but yeah.
Yeah, I saw it when I was like 10 or 12. I can't remember, but I did
Oh my
buy it
God.
on VHS. Like I was one of those kids where, for some reason, God bless her, my mother, love her to death. She just let me get all these movies, whatever I wanted, and the Thing. I think I was too young to understand a lot of the themes going on. I just thought, oh, these people are getting absorbed and things will occasionally eat them. So it was
Yeah,
a freaky
right.
movie, and then Kurt Russell was still cool in it. So Yeah, very
Yep.
bleak when you're done watching it for the first time. You're like, oh, but it's the whole getting there thing, right? Um,
Absolutely.
and yeah, what you said before, when the kids, this is just a fun little side note as well. The kids are watching the thing from another planet in John Carpenter's Halloween on the TV, right?
Hmm.
Well, in Halloween Ends, our old pal David Howard Thorne, thinking of Art the Clown. You know the director's name. I shan't recant it right now.
David
What's his
Gordon Green.
David Gordon Green? Yeah. Well, at least it was three names. I wasn't that far off. Um, they're watching John Carpenter's The Thing when Corey's babysitting
Oh,
the
no
little.
way.
So it's a nice little tip of the chapeau, if you will. Um,
Yeah, that is.
but yeah, John Carpenter didn't worry about how it would be seen on a TV. He wanted to shoot it in widescreen, which also gives this movie like a super epic, you know, Panavision type Panavision. It's like anamorphic, but Dean Cundey does a good job of not letting the style of it go too fucking crazy.
Hmm.
But everything looks big and epic. Like I noticed when I watched it again this
Does.
time. Just the setup, you know, which is supposed to be in Antarctica, I guess, but most of the movie was shot in Alaska. Well, the opening shot was shot in Alaska, where they're in the helicopters and they're
Hmm.
chasing the dog in. But the rest, when the guys are at the outpost, that's shot in Stewart, BC, and they built that whole set there in the summertime. Or
It's still there, apparently.
oh, I thought they blew it up.
Oh, maybe they blew it up. See, I don't know, but I know of people going to like where it was
That
shot
spot, yeah,
because fans of this movie are so fanatic, right? Because it's so good.
it's
But I
amazing.
I did hear about people that have like gone to where it was shot.
That makes sense because I know I
Yeah.
read about it that they went. It Dean Cundey, the cinematographer, he even talked about it. He said it was like one of the most arduous movies he's ever made. Because like
I believe that.
they
Yeah.
had a 27-mile trip uphill to set every day before they started filming. So like the actors and crew, I'm assuming John took a helicopter or something up there,
Hmm.
but they had to go up this hill, and there would be guys coming down with like big huge trucks, right? And so they'd have to like call them ahead. They'd be like, trucks coming down, and the actors and the crew they'd have to pull over in their car, and they're going up an icy mountain in the middle of winter. Like this movie's a labor of love. You had to
Yeah.
like, it wasn't probably easy shooting conditions, but a lot of the
Probably not.
stuff
No. Yeah.
a lot of the stuff was done there, and then when the snow fell in the winter, they just shot there, and then they blow. I'm assuming what is most of it up because you see it at the end of the film when the explosions are just going
Right.
off.
Yeah. At the very end. Yeah.
Yeah, so they shot some of this in Stewart, British Columbia. That's all the stuff at the outpost. And apparently, one of the guys who was flying the planes, he offered to crash the helicopter for money, just outlaw. So that's pretty funny that they're just talking John Carpenter. Yeah, we'll crash it.
That's interesting.
Crash it for a little cash, I guess. Probably catch up on some insurance money as well. Oh, it's an accident.
All right.
Um, Going into how the movie was received as well. Came out 2 weeks after E.T., so I think this reason why I'm not blaming that for why the movie didn't do well financially. But it does show.
I do remember hearing.
Yeah, it does show kind of where the audience is and
Yeah, I honestly think I like because I've read Roger Ebert's review. I do remember reading. I think he mentions that in his review. I think he mentions E.T. in the Thing review.
Yeah, and I mean, you have the nice, friendly alien versus this one that assimilates and becomes you, right? So
Yeah.
I can see why people didn't love it, but it's a different tone of film, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it also has a lot of social commentary, like the story of paranoia, right? Carpenter, he talks like of how similar the blood tests were to AIDS when they're doing the blood tests in this
I
movie.
do remember reading that too.
Yeah.
Is that it came out right around the time that AIDS was,
just coming into like the light of the media, right? And people didn't know what was what yet.
Yeah.
And so
Everyone has AIDS. Sorry, Team America reference.
Little Team America for you listeners out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's almost like an imperceivable monster in the film, right? Because it's the guys are becoming more and more isolated and paranoid. They don't really know where the evil's coming from at the beginning, so you can see the threads tying social commentary
Oh
in
yeah,
this film
you
with
feel so
AIDS.
bad for you feel so bad for Wilford Brimley in this movie.
Oh God, yeah, he's he's fantastic in it though.
He's so good, and like it
Watch
just yeah,
Clark
like just yeah,
and watch him close.
that's a good impression.
He kills me in this movie. Like everybody still like talks about that. Like you can
Oh,
quote the hell out of this movie. There's so many
his
good one-liners.
his freak out scene, and everything, and then like when you know he's turned into like it's just like oh shit.
He's so good. I love Wilford Brimley, man. He's so good in this movie. He goes
Yeah.
from
Oh
like,
yeah.
kind of funny at points in some of the scenes, and then like the noose when they put him out in the cabin.
Right.
That's how good
Yeah.
this thing is at, because he's already the thing. He's been thingified at that point, right? The thing
Yep.
threw this giant tantrum and smashed all these things to just make him look like he's unhinged, but secretly they tie him up and give him his own time out in the corner in his own cabin, and he's busy out there. But even the optics of having that noose, it's just hilarious. I'm all good now. I'm all better.
Yeah.
He's not, man. He's fucking making a jerry-rigged spaceship in the basement, dude. Get him. Yeah, I guess I kind of got sidetracked there for a little bit. Yeah, I had this movie on VHS. I had it on DVD. I kind of got rid of most of my DVDs years ago. I still have some. But like I said, we both have the Steelbook, and I have the collector's. It's just the collector's edition, Scream Factory, I think, version of it. And I'm kind of waiting for the local record shop. They've ordered a 4K copy of it, which I hope to acquire soon because
Odyssey.
Yeah, Odyssey Records, great place.
Oh, nice.
Anybody in London, Ontario, check them out. They're fantastic place. They got the best stuff. I always end up coming out of there with more than I intended.
Yeah, me too.
The thing is, yeah, and I'm not afraid to like dip again into this movie for 4K because I watch this movie probably once or twice a year, so it's worth the investment for me. A little side note about the actors as well. I think one of the reasons why you can also come back to this movie a lot too is that it has so much rewatchability because you care about the characters. It's not just who's going to die next. You have enough time that's set up with them, and they all seem to have their interpersonal, relations going on. So I don't know how one could say it's non-three-dimensional characters compared to other horror films of the time. This is 1982, right? So I mean, they even did rehearsals for 2 weeks and wanted it to be believable, not comedic. So they treated the source material as serious as possible. Obviously, a movie where people are getting arms bitten off, heads chomped by organisms that haven't fully transformed or assimilated other things yet. It's all this kind of creatures. It's a little unbelievable, but that's why they kind of treat it as serious as possible. So you can't be like, haha, slapstick. Although you do have the classic line, you gotta be fucking kidding me, when you have the spider head.
Yeah.
Another
But that is so terrifying too.
Yeah.
That whole sequence. Oh my god.
The fact that they let it walk around for that long, and if anybody's not seen this, I'm sorry, spoiler alert, but yeah,
what the hell are you doing listening?
Yeah, what the hell are you doing listening to us right now talking about it? But
go watch the fucking movie.
Do it, please. It's great. But the head spider scene when the legs sprout out of a head and it's walking around a room, and you have one of the characters just kind of staring in disbelief and utters the lines, "You got to be fucking kidding me," something to that effect. So good. Stan Winston came in. I think we already talked about Rob Bottin. I'm still going to call this movie the Rob Bottin dream, because without him and these special effects, having a head walk around with spider legs, how do you come up with this? The guy was on another level. And Stan Winston worked on a short scene, and I believe he goes uncredited in the film. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure when I watched it, he's not actually credited. But he did the dog transformation scene when the dogs are in the kennel.
Oh, which is so good and so terrifying.
Yeah, and it's like a person inside of that moving around, and there's other obviously moving
Oh,
parts to
that's
it,
cool.
but having like
I remember when I watched it with my dad, he that scene, I remember him saying something like, "Whoa, Jesus."
yeah, it goes a little crazy. That starts to go a little crazy, eh? We just get little glimpses
Yeah, oh yeah.
of it before the arm biting scene. Um, yeah. The end of the movie obviously has when McCready throws the dynamite, he has that line that he says, "Yeah, and fuck you too."
Fuck you
But you
too.
have that giant thing that is, I think they said like 50 people were operating the final form of the thing because it had so many moving parts to it, right? It was such a giant piece.
Right.
That's just incredible to me. The time and dedication that went into that, because nowadays you have movies that would just not even fathom doing it practically. It would be CG,
No,
and
not at all.
it would look like shit. Because all these, not to disparage the use of CG when it's done right, great, but when it's used as a crutch for something that could be done practically, you see these, how CG's gotten seemingly worse in the last few years versus when it's
yeah.
used properly in studios, graphic design companies and things like that, and animators are not being, pretty much taken at gunpoint for deadlines, right? It's often why it ends up looking like shit these days. So, kudos to them for doing that. This was John Carpenter's first studio film. So some of the crew had to join the union. First time working for these actors. And Universal wanted Kevin Kline originally. According to...
As McCready?
As McCready. Because Kevin Kline
No
Could
way.
you imagine Kevin Kline as McCready? I can't.
I mean, you know what?
Nothing against Kevin Kline, the actor.
You know what?
But
I fucking love Kevin Kline, and you know what? I think he would have done an okay job. As much as I love Kurt Russell too,
yeah,
and I know I'm probably gonna get, but maybe it's just that I like Kevin Kline so much. But like, that's interesting. That's not like he'd be terrible. Like to me, I would. As much as I love Kurt Russell and I love McCready as a character, I like Kevin Kline would be an interesting take. It's like he's mainly known for his comedic, like Fish Called Wanda, Fierce Creatures, but like the dude can be serious. So like I that would be interesting. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious because John had already worked with John Carpenter, of course, already worked with Kurt Russell on Escape from New York, right? So John kind of had who he wanted, but the studio was like, Kevin did something for us recently, and we got another picture with him, so we'd like to...
He owed them a movie, you said?
I don't know if he owed them, but he was on their good lists, and and Universal was somebody in the higher ups was like, well, we got Kevin Kline. Didn't end up happening. John Carpenter.
I don't think it would be as good as Kurt Russell, but it's just interesting. That would be an interesting switch.
Yeah. Sound off in the comments. Anybody wishes Kevin Kline was there?
I don't wish. Yeah, I don't wish.
No,
I don't get me wrong there, but that is very interesting though. I did not know that. I did not know that.
It was a fun little fact. What can we talk about now? Palmer, the actor who plays Palmer in the movie, he was quoted as saying they had endless metaphysical discussions about the existential reality at what these characters were going through as they were or were not absorbed by the thing. So when the actors are all this kind of invested in a project like this, obviously you're going to get good performances, and you can see in some of these scenes,
Oh yeah,
with Palmer, like some of the faces they're doing, so it's tough to tell who, you know what I mean? If they're playing it, if that's a alien in a human's body who's acting scared, or if it's just a person who's scared. The levels of paranoia have a lot of depth in this movie.
definitely.
And now I have to get on my soapbox for a minute and talk about my favorite character who went down off screen and very sadly in this movie. Fuchs, justice for Fuchs, hashtag. Man, that guy. He was like the other scientist of the group, right? You had our main boy, Blair, Wilford Brimley, but I liked Fuchs a lot. Not only because he has glasses and looks like the stereotypical us. He's got beakers in his study as well. You remember the shot when Kurt Russell goes to talk to him? He's like, I want to talk to you. You have a beautiful split diopter shot in that too when he's in the foreground, Fuchs, and Kurt Russell comes up behind him. They're both in focus, and like they used a split diopter on that shot, which is just like a filter, so half of it's magnified, so something that's in focus. So Fuchs being in the foreground, he's in focus. Kurt Russell should not be in focus because he's so further into the background. But because the diopter is only half the way they set it up, Dean Cundey really, really cooked on that shot. I was like, okay. I noticed that this time. Sorry, I had to get that out of there. But yeah, Fuchs kind of dying off screen was a bit lame, considering I thought he was one of the cooler characters. But he also
burning.
Yeah, it's just he's burnt to a crisp. But Fuchs, Joel Paulus, the actual actor, he talks about how Richard Dysart, Copper, rest in peace, sir, in real life, gave him tips on how to act and how to respond, because a lot of the time it would just be he wasn't used to acting on camera, and so Dysart would say, like, just respond. If you move your eyes an inch, it looks like 30 feet on the big screen, right? So he kind of helped him with his on-screen actions and reactions.
Very cool.
And Copper's the character who like gets his arms bitten off during the he's the doctor, right? He's the one who gets to look at all the girls' creations and the afterbirths and the gets his arms bitten off with the classic scene. We're obviously going to talk about that in a minute. The stomach ripping open and having teeth. The classic jump scare we were talking about earlier. Maybe it's a good time to talk about it. They used a person who didn't have arms. So
interesting.
So for like the quick cutaway when the arms go into because he's going to give the guy like the electrical shock to try to get him back to life. And his arms go through, bit off, you get the close-up shot, and you have small arms moving, so they just use like prosthetics. But every time they would shoot that, it would take hours to reset. So that's how like crazy a setup this movie was. Like that whole scene,
the dedication and everything,
like just to reset, and it looks great. And Rob Bottin,
it does. It looks so good.
Yeah, Rob Bottin used Jello mold, and wax for bones and rubber veins in the arms. That's like the whole thing is made up of practical things that look so gnarly when you see the teeth bite through them and it's actually biting through something. Like I've never heard of wax for bones, like, but you see them get crunched in the teeth. It's just so visceral and gnarly. And damn, man, it's another reason why you could just like gush about this movie and
over and over.
Every aspect of this movie is fantastic like that. And then of course, like I already said, Stan Winston talking about the dedication. This is Rob Bottin's movie, is quoted as saying that. And he also goes, it was no loss for incredible effects. And so Winston just he didn't take a credit for it. So like, what a boss. Mr. Terminator and Predator himself coming in and saying that your movie's like that, right? And R.I.P. Stan as well.
Hmm.
That's
Did he directed Pumpkinhead, right?
I think it was Stan Winston. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, scenes like this would be what Ebert would say. It's a great barf bag movie, and like, that's a gimmick nowadays when you get a barf bag to go see a movie, right? But it's a thing.
Terrifier 2.
Terrifier 2, yeah. But didn't they say people were fainting during that movie? I don't know if
Yeah.
that's just good marketing because it makes people want to see the unseeable
It
in
is.
an,
It
in an
is.
effect, but I've never barfed in a
I
movie.
still my I have not. I've still own my barf bag for Terrifier 2.
Hells yeah. Hells yeah. Um, the Clown Cafe. Now, don't get me going. Um, yeah, so Stuart Cohen, he said, for the movie to work, the monster needed to work. So it's not a man in a suit like previously discussed for the 51 version.
Arness, yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of a deconstructionist monster, right? Because it's constantly changing throughout this film. Um, so it makes it a little less campy because we're always on our kind of the audience, at least, the way I feel still watching the film. We're always on like we're on our heels, You never know where it's going to come from next or when the next scene's going to happen. Why that, the stomach opening, arm chomping scene is
Hmm.
legendary. Just the build up to that, the timing of it in the movie, it
Oh,
hits.
and even like even the dogs,
Yeah.
and oh man,
Um, yeah, and I think we'd be remiss without talking about the matte painting as well. So, when McCready and two of the other guys go out early in the film before shit hits the fan, um, they go out and inspect
oh, to the Norwegian,
to the Norwegian camp, yeah, and they find that
yes,
spaceship.
yes,
That's a matte painting. So they shot those three guys standing at the top, and they were just on like Universal Studios parking lot, and they did a composite of them standing there, and it's a matte painting by Albert Whitlock. He's the one who did the spaceship crashed into the snow, and I'm like, you watch that scene now and you realize that's a painting. That dude,
that's
the
crazy.
detail of that scene, it blows your mind because they're looking at it and they cut to different angles, right? Like there's one where there's just a hatch in the ground too, and they sort of get a low angle,
Right.
and they have like obviously the classic shot if you Google it or whatever you will, kids, and you know them at the top looking down on this crashed spaceship. There's so much detail, and it's almost imperceptible as to where the painting starts and reality ends. It's a very
Hmm.
I don't know. It blew my mind because I didn't know how they did that, and
That is crazy. That is super crazy. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
I've got some notes here on a few of the things that could have been different in the movie. Not that they're like I'm complaining. It's just literally how
Mhm.
production works about the film. But because John Carpenter in studio, this was his first studio movie, as previously mentioned. They wanted Kevin Kline as McCready. Well, apparently Blair, John Carpenter, um, and the Blair character, I guess probably John Carpenter rooting for him, or maybe the studio, would have been Donald Pleasance. Um,
Oh, no way. Okay.
which would have been crazy as well. But I could see him doing it.
Yeah,
I could see the crazy
definitely.
Doctor Loomis esque in that character of him spazzing out
Hmm.
when he thinks the whole human race is going to get infected in whatever it
Right.
says 1400 hours or something like that. Um, and yeah, they did a lot of re-edits and reshoots in this movie because John Carpenter kept saying it's not scary or it's not scary enough, so he rearranged scenes and they ended up doing a lot of pickup shots. Bennings was
Huh.
originally
Okay.
stabbed in the back with an ice pick, and you kind of just see the hand
Damn.
come in. But I think what they ended up thinking was it was too too much like Halloween. It's like a slasher movie. It's kind of taking away from the whole,
With the slasher. Yeah, that makes sense.
especially because John Carpenter just came from Halloween. I think they actually filmed that, but then when they looked at it, they're like, "This is just too much, um, too similar." Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, yeah. Like
Um,
too much of a slasher compared to the paranoia and the
Yeah, it
almost
wouldn't have
thriller like
fit.
apps.
It wouldn't have fit. And then apparently
No, definitely not. No.
Fuchs was also supposed to die differently. Hashtag justice for Fuchs in the comments. Everybody, let's hear it. Um, yeah, he was impaled by a shovel, and McCready, I guess, I don't know if it was McCready, somebody finds him there. And so they open the door. It's like the Friday the 13th when, like, Jesse, is that you out there? They open the door, and the guy's like got the, the arrows through the throat or something. This
Right,
was like,
right.
but it was Fuchs with like a shovel through his back, and he was like pinned to a door. I was like, that's
And again, I don't think that would have worked. That sounds too much like slasher.
yeah, yeah. I 100% agree. Bennett. They also had another idea for the Bennings death, but apparently it was really extensive. So he was going to get dragged into the ice, like down below the ice, and
Oh, cool. That's actually kind of cool.
get partially drowned, I think, or something, or it drags him into the ice. So the thing's
Probably
like
would
coming
cost
up
too much
from the
money
ice.
though.
Yeah, I was like, I think the studio, and then we're talking about how to do it effectively and everything, and it was like the scene itself was going to be like $2 million to shoot, and they just couldn't figure it out. So they're like, you know, Bennings is Bennings. Yeah. What else do I got here? Originally, Jerry Goldsmith was thought of to do the music for this movie.
Okay.
But he was busy doing Poltergeist. So.
Which is a great score.
Yeah. And even if we didn't have Morricone doing this, right? Which apparently the producer had to pull a few strings to get Morricone because I think he was in Italy or whatever at the time. And, Stuart Cohen called Bertolucci, filmmaker. Is it Bernardo Bertolucci? I always forget.
Bernardo yes.
Bertolucci, conformist. Last Emperor. Some good movies there. I don't mind those ones. To convince Morricone.
Yeah. Last Tango in Paris. No thanks. But
yeah,
Conformist is great.
The history of that one too. Ugh.
Oh yeah.
Hashtag cancel Bertolucci. Actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah. No kidding.
But they had to. The producer had to call Bertolucci to convince Morricone to do the soundtrack, and then they had one conversation with John Carpenter, and the music.
Is there a reason? Is there a reason Carpenter didn't want to score it?
I'm actually not too clear on that because he says there's still segments in the movie that are him, but it's small transitions.
Yeah, it's just interesting that he didn't want to score it himself. Like
maybe he was just too tired.
That they even had to talk about. Maybe, yeah.
Because he's already done a lot of movies at that point, right? Or quite a few, and maybe the studio wanted. I don't freaking know. I don't understand why even they go to Jerry Goldsmith. They just be like, John, you can do it, right? Because the guy's a genius.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't barely even talked about Carpenter in this whole thing, but like, master of horror, and like the guy's living his best life right now. He goes and tours. Does live music with his, I think. He did the soundtrack for the new Halloween movies, right? Like Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends,
and the awful Firestarter remake. But his score was probably the best part.
Yeah, and that's
Zac Efron.
That's how I feel about the Halloween, the newer Halloween movies. I didn't, I have my beefs with them in certain ways, right? We've talked about this off. That's why I said David Howard Thornton earlier when I meant to say David Gordon Green. It was just like I got Art the Clown on the mind and not that director because what they did to my boy Michael, I'll never forgive. But
oh God, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that John didn't do this and the soundtrack, but it is still a classic soundtrack and it gives you goosies every time you hear it. It's iconic. It's like,
definitely. I love that the opening is cold opening with the ship crashing and everything, and then the when the score like sets in with the doom 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 doom, like that's perfectly timed. I love the opening of this movie. How like quiet it is when the ship is just, and then the credits open up, and then so good.
Yeah, we talked about it too, right? It's like we both love this movie, and like I think one of the things that makes it so good is because I can't even count the amount of like most people who know and love this movie. You can't even count the amount of times you've seen it or watched it because you get to play detective almost every time you watch it, and you get to hang out with some dudes who
Hmm.
are isolated, and it almost feels a little homey as well because they're all at this outpost together and they're all isolated, and it might be a little too soon for us in the real world. We're covering from the sad times in the previous years, which were COVID and isolation and all this shit. But
Absolutely.
there
Yeah.
is sort of a hominess to it when you see these characters and, well, this is their everyday, and then quickly things go awry. And there's is
I was in a bar.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you got this.
I was in a bar 2 years ago, and I saw they had JB whiskey, and I thought to myself, I'm not a whiskey guy. I'm not, and I just thought to myself, you know what? I'm gonna buy. I was with two buddies, and I just thought, you know what? I'm gonna buy. I've never tried this JB whiskey. I'm gonna buy a shot just in honor of the thing and McCready.
Yeah.
Not good. Not good.
McCready let you down.
It burned my throat.
Your hat and your beard grew 3 sizes that day.
But yeah, that's true. That is true. I felt more manly.
Yeah, everybody
But
jokes
yeah.
about that too because this movie has it's all male characters. I guess Adrienne Barbeau's like she's uncredited as the voice of the computer that McCready plays on at the beginning when he loses to
Oh, that's no
chess.
way. That's funny.
Which you could say that's an argument I've heard some people make too. When McCready loses to the chess game, we first meet him. He's getting drunk in his cabin by himself, and he loses a game of chess on a computer chess simulator. And then he says, "Cheating, bitch," and then pours a drink in there. And that's I don't know. You could say something to the effect of maybe that's got something to do with the end of the movie as well, because throughout the movie, there's moments when you think McCready is the thing. Obviously, we still talk about who is the
Hmm.
thing at the end of this movie, and if you want to have a fun
Gets
drinking game with
accused for.
JB out there, take a drink every time we say "thing" in this one. So when he's like playing chess, he makes up a lot of his like throughout the movie. We think he's the thing at one point, right? And some still
Yeah.
argue he is the thing at the end. We don't know, right? The
I
debate's out there.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I don't buy the last line where he just says, "Ah, we'll just sit here well," because he says that same line, like he says that same line of dialogue the same way he when he sends out his recording saying we're all very tired. Like he just says it like I don't buy that he's the thing at the end. I don't.
And that's fair. I just
Hmm.
it's cool too because he loses at the beginning with chess when he's playing the chess game,
Yeah.
but then he fucking ruins it, which he does kind of symbolically. It's kind of foreshadowing what he does later in the film, right? Because after they do the blood test and they're like, well, we're not leaving. We got to stop this thing from getting outside of the rest of the world and general population, right? That's when they start pretty much
Hmm.
nuking the place, like taking the tractor and start knocking the buildings down and everything. So there is some nice
Right.
foreshadowing there and kind of shows how he is like the loner, I guess you could say. He's our main protagonist, even though the movie is like mostly an ensemble, right? That McCready's
No,
definitely
but
our main
yeah, oh
character.
yeah, of course he's the one. The one you're rooting for, and the
Yeah. And we don't want to assume he's a thing, even though for a good little portion in here, all signs are leading to, right? when him and
yep.
Knowles go out there and he said he split from me and he ran and I couldn't got lost in the storm and all this stuff, and then he comes back and you find the McCready jacket that has rips through it. I mean, this movie is so dense in the amount of information it gives, but the visual style that Dean Cundy and John Carpenter were obviously cooking here, it presents it in such a way where it almost kind of disarms the audience. Like the first time you watch this movie, if you were to watch it today, um, you'd probably not take in all the important little details, right? I know every time I
Oh,
watch this
definitely
movie,
not. Yeah,
I find something new, and the fact that people are still
yeah,
we're in
absolutely.
2025 right now, people still talk about, and like just recently, John
Oh, and there's
Carpenter.
discussions about, oh yeah, different like the characters and like when do you think this person turned or who did this person turn and oh yeah.
Yeah, there's like people have like the diagrams of like, the threads and the little points, like in Always Sunny, the Charlie when he's trying
Yeah.
to figure out that, those gifs and memes and stuff online. But it's just, that's
Yeah.
pretty
Oh
much
yeah.
what people have for this movie, because they still talk about it. And yeah, there's not a thing I would change about this movie. I know it went through a lot, like I said, a lot of edits and changes. There was tremendous resistance from the studio about the ending, because obviously E.T. just came out. And how we talked about it before, it's a little bit of a downer of an ending. It's quite bleak.
Absolutely.
But after the screening originally, it was brought up the effect scenes were to be cut down on. And it's kind of funny because listening to that, there's a lot of scenes of like the men arguing that were cut out. And
Oh, interesting.
I guess there was Childs had like a basement in the place where he had weed and stuff. Like he had some plants down there.
Okay.
And then McCready blow up doll. These are things that were all cut out. Which I think they
Probably.
talked about it for the best, because everything
Yeah,
that's
I
kind
think
of
probably
presented
for
to
the.
us is pretty salient to the story itself, right? And the characters.
Absolutely.
We don't need to know. I'd love to know more about Fuchs. Justice for Fuchs. Hashtag. I want somebody out there who feels the same way as me. I'm sad about it still. Unsung hero. He was going to figure it all out too. If it wasn't for those pesky things, whoever got him, right? Like, who did kill Fuchs? Honest question.
Well, I read or did he burn himself?
Yeah, because the last we see him, somebody passes in the hallway, and he's just got that little lighter. But what did he trip and fall on the lighter outside? Oh, I'm emulating
Yeah,
myself,
good point.
bro.
Good point.
You're already outside in the snow. Like, just drop and roll, my guy. But I digress. Yeah, John Carpenter's The Thing. What else? Do you have any other thoughts?
Well, it was made into a video game. A
That's
sequel, I
true.
believe it was a sequel. I remember renting when I was a kid for the PS2. And funny enough, because John Carpenter himself is a gamer, they have him on the like a little blip of him on the cover of the game saying like, "Yeah, this is a great follow up." I remember actually when I rented the game, I couldn't beat it. I couldn't get past a certain point, and it was now remade this year or last year. It was remade by a game studio, remaster,
Remastered.
and
Yeah,
I'm
I
getting
saw
that
that.
game.
I saw that.
Yeah, I'm getting
I'm
that game
interested.
in June, so I'm gonna play the game in June, and that's when I'm gonna next watch this movie is after I play the game again, or I hopefully finish the game, because when I rented it as a kid for the PS2, I couldn't get back past a certain point,
Yeah,
and
I remember it being tough.
yeah.
I think I played it on I think it was on Xbox as well, the OG Xbox. Because if you had it
Okay,
on
was it on?
PS2,
Okay,
I think it was
when
on.
I rented it was PS2, yeah, so it would have been the original Xbox, yeah.
Yeah, I remember it being a very tough game, but also very creepy because you're out
It
there and it's
was.
just snow falling and there's buildings you go and explore, and it's creepy. It's a creepy environment.
Yeah, so I'm pumped for that. That's in June.
Story checks out about Carpenter. I think he said that game was like canon as well, like to the movie story, because
Yeah,
yeah, I
this
can't remember because I never beat it.
prequel is dog shit. I'm sorry. Yeah, me neither. The prequel is dog shit. Sorry to bring up the prequel, but the one with Mary Elizabeth Winstead about the Norwegian camp going through it. Did you ever see
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I've never seen that movie, and from what I've heard,
It's dog shit. It's absolute dog shit. One of my best friends, The Thing is one of his favorite movies as well, and yeah, we both agree that it's just the prequel is dog shit.
yeah, I just saw all the CG and that like not a lot of pretty much it had
Oh,
almost nothing to
so
do
bad.
other than with the original, other than its title and its premise, but like none of the original people are back, right? So
No,
uh, it wasn't for me. It wasn't my cup of chai. I mean, maybe one day I'll watch it just for the shits and giggles, but yeah, that checks out about the video
Plug.
game as well. Because, yeah, John Carpenter's a huge gamer. He's living his best life right now, eh? Like, just got the walk on the Hollywood
Absolutely.
Walk of Fame, got the star. And then you saw a lot of the people, the photos out there, Kurt Russell's there, Keith David, Dean Cundy, all the boys from The Thing and other works. Obviously, Keith David was also awesome in what is that other one?
Put on the glasses.
Put on the glasses, yeah.
They
Consume,
live. They live.
Another John Carpenter. So, like, yeah, respect to the king, man, because Carpenter's done some
absolutely.
classic movies. I'm sure we'll talk about another one of his films somewhere down the line here.
Hell yeah.
But The Thing's got to be up there for me. And yeah, he is living his best life. He got the star on the Walk of Fame, and also, like, he's doing soundtracks with his son for other movies, and like the soundtracks for the new Halloweens were the best parts of them, in my opinion. So he just gets to chill and like, tour and do shows with his music from movies that people love. Like, man, respect to John Carpenter. And yeah, this movie is at the point of sounding redundant.
It's a goat.
It's a classic.
It's
a goat. It's
yeah,
one of the better movies I think ever made. Everything about it just hits right.
Everything about it, absolutely.
Everything, yes. And anybody who's still out there right now, still listening to us, I want to say thank you. And share your thing. Oh, that sounded wrong. Share your stories of The Thing and where were you the first time you seen this movie? Yeah, do your thing in the comment section. Anybody who's ever seen The Thing, and let us know your memories of the first time seeing this. Did it haunt you, or have you yet to see it? I mean, I think most people know about this movie by now. It's fantastic, and there's plenty of places you can go watch it. But yeah, if anybody still out there listening, I know you gentlemen have been through a lot, but when you find the time, I'd rather not spend the rest of this winter tied to this fucking couch. Best line in the movie. Tried to segue into
best
it naturally, but we'll see. That scene is so good.
Great.
The timing of that as well. Like, everything about this movie they treated seriously, but the actor and the delivery in that line. Gary.
Oh, yeah.
Gary fucking had his moment to shine. Like, how could you say that these characters are non-3-dimensional?
Wow. Oh, come on.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, he was on crack.
Yeah. Like, all the characters are good in this movie. It's fantastic. Brimley is hilarious every time he's there. You have that line delivery. Palmer's great. Keith David and McCready have great chemistry together. And, yeah, I don't know what else to say.
It's just a perfect movie. A perfect movie.
Yep.
And a great 10th episode to do.
Big 10. And yeah, like you said, here's to another 10.
Hell yeah, man.
Thanks for listening, everybody out there. Hit the subscribe button. Give us a like if you liked listening to this thing. And I'm not going to segue anymore or put us through this misery. So without further ado, until next time, everybody, thanks for listening. John Eric, been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I guess we'll just wait and see.
All right.
Peace out.
We'll just sit here.
Just wait.
We'll just wait here a while.
Cue the music. Man.
Doom, doom.
I was going to say I'm going to go watch it. I'm not. Not tonight, but yeah. Anyways, peace out.
Bye.